It's 2 in the morning. Your dog has a perfectly good bed somewhere else in the house you bought it. You set it up. You probably even washed it. And yet, here they are, claiming exactly 80% of the available space and graciously leaving you whatever's left. Most people chalk it up to warmth, maybe habit, maybe their dog is just a little needy. But behavioral neuroscience has a completely different explanation. What your dog is doing right now, every single night, without fail, is one of the most sophisticated expressions of trust, attachment, and evolutionary biology that exists between any two species on this planet. And the vast majority of dog owners have absolutely no idea. Let's start with the warmth theory, because on the surface, it sounds perfectly logical. Dogs get cold, you're warm. End of story. Except there's a problem with that. Your dog has access to sun-soaked spots on the floor, heating vents, the couch, and almost certainly a pile of your worn clothes somewhere nearby. If all they were after was heat, they have no shortage of options. So why do they keep coming back to you? Because sleep is the most defenseless state any living animal can enter. Every survival instinct hardwired into your dog's brain, instincts inherited from tens of thousands of years of predator-prey dynamics, is screaming at them to find somewhere concealed, somewhere protected when they go unconscious. And instead, they walk right past every quiet corner, every tucked-away nook in your home, and climb up next to a human being who is 15 times their size. That is not a decision driven by temperature. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest took the same attachment framework that developmental psychologists had designed to study human infants, Ainsworth's strange situation procedure, and they adapted it to test dogs. The findings stopped people in their tracks. Dogs form attachment bonds with their owners that are functionally identical to the bond a baby forms with its mother. The same drive to stay close, the same distress when left alone, the same visible relief when reunited, the same sense of calm when their person is near. 61% of the dogs tested were classified as securely attached, nearly the exact same proportion found in studies of human toddlers. When your dog chooses to sleep beside you, they are performing the single most fundamental behavior in the entire field of attachment psychology, seeking proximity to their safe person at the exact moment they are most exposed and most vulnerable. They are not being clingy. They are telling you, in the only language they have, that you are the safest thing in their entire world. But here's where this story takes a turn. Because this isn't just psychology, it's chemistry. In 2015, a research team at Asabu University in Japan published a landmark study in the journal Science, one of the most respected scientific publications on Earth. They measured oxytocin levels in 30 dog owner pairs during direct interaction. Oxytocin, if you haven't come across the term, is the neurochemical your brain releases when you feel genuinely connected to someone. It's the same molecule that floods a new mother's brain the moment she holds her baby for the very first time. What the researchers discovered was extraordinary. When a dog locks eyes with their owner, and the owner holds that gaze, both of them experience a surge in oxytocin simultaneously across two entirely different species. The dog's oxytocin climbs. The owner's oxytocin climbs, which makes the dog want to hold that gaze even longer, which triggers more oxytocin, which deepens the owner's sense of connection, which makes them hold eye contact again. It is a self-reinforcing neurochemical feedback loop that no other animal on this planet shares with humans. The researchers ran the same experiment with wolves that had been raised by people. The loop did not activate, not even slightly. This response co-evolved specifically between dogs and human beings over thousands of years of shared life. And physical contact amplifies the entire effect. Studies show that as little as 10 minutes of petting your dog produces measurable drops in cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone in both you and the animal. Now think about what unfolds across 8 hours of sleeping pressed against each other. Here is a question almost no one stops to ask. When exactly did dogs and humans start sleeping beside one another? The answer is, essentially from the very beginning. Dogs are the only animal domesticated before the advent of agriculture, before farming, before cities, before any written language. Around 15,000 years ago, wolves began drifting toward the edges of human campsites, drawn in by discarded food, the glow of fire, the warmth of bodies. The wolves that were least reactive, the ones least likely to bolt, survived in greater numbers. They bred. They passed those traits forward. Generation after generation, they were no longer wolves. In Germany, archaeologists uncovered a burial site dated to 14,000 years ago. Two humans laid to rest together, with two dogs placed beside them. But the detail that shifts everything is this. One of those dogs had survived a severe case of canine distemper, a disease that is typically fatal within 3 months. That dog had been in a prolonged state of illness for more than 5 weeks. Someone had cared for it, tended to it, nursed it back to health 14,000 years ago. These were not utility animals. They were family, and genetics confirms that this was no accident. Scientists have discovered that domestic dogs carry unique genetic insertions on chromosome 6, in a region directly associated with extreme sociability and the compulsive desire to seek human contact. Wolves do not carry these variants. Dogs were shaped at a genetic level, literally rewired by evolution to want to be close to us, to sleep near us, to attach to us. When your dog climbs into your bed, they are not doing something quirky or out of the ordinary. They are doing something that has been biologically selected for across 15,000 years of shared history. Now, I want to walk you through a study that rarely gets the attention it deserves because the findings seem contradictory at first glance. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic tracked the sleep quality of 40 adults and their dogs across 7 consecutive nights, using clinical-grade sleep trackers on both human and animal. The objective data was clear. The dogs disrupted human sleep. Movement, repositioning, the occasional 3 a.m. full body stretch that somehow manages to find your ankle. By the raw numbers, the sleep data was worse. And yet, nearly every single participant reported feeling more comfortable, more secure, and more genuinely rested on the nights their dog was in the room with them. How do you reconcile that? A researcher at Canisius College surveyed close to 1,000 women and found that dogs were consistently rated as less disruptive than human partners in bed, more comforting, more reliable, more constant. Her follow-up study used motion trackers to figure out why. What she found was that owners were briefly waking up each time the dog shifted, but almost none of them retained any memory of it by morning. The physical interruptions were real and measurable, but the psychological experience of safety overpowered the disruption entirely. And this is where things get genuinely profound. It turns out that the emotional benefit of sleeping beside a trusted companion, having a warm, breathing, living presence that your nervous system has learned to recognize as safe, may actually matter more to restorative, high-quality sleep than uninterrupted darkness and complete silence. For most of human history, we did not sleep alone. The solo bedroom, sealed off, quiet, isolated, that is the modern anomaly. That is the exception. Communal sleep, shared warmth, the reassurance of trusted bodies nearby, that was the norm. Maybe your dog is not disrupting your sleep at all. Maybe they are quietly restoring something far older than any sleep hygiene routine. A 2024 study out of the University of Jyväskylä in Finland monitored heart rate variability in 30 dog owner pairs across 6 distinct experimental conditions. Heart rate variability, or HRV, is considered one of the most reliable physiological measures of how well your autonomic nervous system is functioning. High HRV signals that your body is relaxed and in a regulated state. Low HRV tells you that your stress response is engaged and active. What the researchers found was striking. Across every single condition they tested, dogs and their owners showed correlated HRV patterns. Their nervous systems were moving in sync. When the owner was calm, the dog settled. When the owner was stressed, the dog's autonomic state shifted in response, and the synchronization was most powerful, most locked in during rest. They ran the same protocol with dogs and strangers. No synchronization. None. This only occurs within bonded pairs. What this means is that sleeping next to your dog is not simply a matter of emotional comfort. It is a neurological event, 2 completely separate nervous systems, belonging to 2 entirely different species, actively co-regulating one another through the hours of the night. There is one final thing I want to share with you, and it may be the most important thing in this entire video. If your dog has spent months or years sleeping beside you, and one day they simply stop. Don't dismiss it. Dogs are creatures of deeply ingrained habit. When a behavior that entrenched disappears without warning, there is always a reason behind it. Sometimes it's environmental. A new pet in the home, a new person, a change in your daily routine. Dogs are extraordinarily attuned to shifts in their environment. Something that registers as trivial to you can feel genuinely destabilizing to them. But sometimes the cause is physical. Veterinary researchers have found that changes in sleep location rank among the earliest behavioral signals of pain in dogs, showing up well before limping, stiffness, or any visible physical symptom presents itself. A dog that stops jumping up onto the bed may not have decided they prefer the floor. They may be hurting, and in older dogs, disrupted or altered sleep behavior is the defining early symptom of canine cognitive dysfunction, the dog equivalent of dementia. It affects an estimated 35% of dogs over the age of 8. So when the nightly ritual changes, pay close attention. Your dog does not have words. Behavior is the only channel they have to tell you when something is wrong. So the next time you find yourself wide awake at 3 in the morning, 6 inches of mattress to your name, 80 pounds of dog pinning your legs to the bed, remember what is actually happening in that moment. Your dog chose you, not the couch, not the floor, not the warm patch of carpet near the heater. You. Because 15,000 years of coevolution, a neurochemical feedback loop that exists nowhere else in the animal kingdom, and an attachment system built to mirror the deepest bond in human psychology, all point toward a single, undeniable conclusion. Sleeping beside you is the safest place in their world, and if the science is telling us anything, it might be doing something quietly essential for you too. If this changed the way you see your dog, go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment down below. I genuinely want to know where your dog sleeps tonight. And if you want to understand why your dog looks at you the way they do with those eyes, that is the next video. And the science behind it is even stranger than you'd expect.